G'day guys and girls, welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be talking to you about the popular Cliff Rune farm down in Moog's area and how you can actually learn to AFK this glitch. I'm talking about the one where you use the Sacred Relic Sword to completely decimate these guys sitting up on the cliff, but you can also use the same trick to AFK the bird farm if you want. It's just a little less effective. Now this is using the same method I used to use on the boulder farm back when that was the most efficient. I'm very excited to share this with you guys, so let's get into it. Now, unless you have a Zim, I believe this exploit only works on PC. Now, if you know a way to get this working on any console, please comment it down below. I'm sure myself and a lot of others would definitely be interested to learn. Now, if you don't have a clue what this farm is or how to get here, then I'll explain it towards the end. You can skip to that. I'll put the time up on the screen right now. Now, if you don't have the Sacred Relic Sword or you haven't beaten the game at all and you're not in New Game Plus, you can still use the same trick to AFK the bird cheese. Just won't be as reliable like I mentioned earlier. So how this works, you're going to want to download something. This is called Tiny Task. It's essentially a macro. Now if you have your own, which I'm sure most of you probably will on PC, feel free to use that. Now Tiny Task is great because it's incredibly easy to set up and run, and you can share your saved inputs with other people. So if you have one that works perfectly fine, you could share it with someone else and they don't have to make their own. If you're struggling and you're wanting to use someone else's or you want to share yours, feel free to join the Discord. I'll put the link up on screen right now. If that interests you, it's definitely the place to go. So I'll leave the link down below in the description. Just download Tiny Task and run it. Now you'll see this tiny window open up. Now before we start anything, it is important to go into preferences and hit continuous playback. This just means when you play the macro, it will continuously loop instead of coming to an end and stopping. Now assuming you've been here, come to this area and you want to have your weapon equipped and have Tiny Task open. Now just to start the process, you want to fast travel to this site of grace, and while it's loading, press Ctrl, Shift, Alt, R on your keyboard. What that does is it begins recording the automation. Now the key here is to take your time between actions and to move as little as possible. The less actions for the application to repeat when you play it, the better. Now when your character's loaded in, wait a few seconds and then walk forward using your keyboard. I do need to mention that the camera is really messed up with these macros, so it means you can't move around with your mouse to aim or turn, so you have to use your keyboard only. This means you'll want to turn your character with your keys and line up your shot on these poor buggers. When you're ready, press the input to send forth a wave of death. Now this can be on your mouse, that is completely fine. You just can't use it as the means to, change your direction and walk around. Now as soon as you can, adjust a little bit and do it again. This is just in case when the process is automated, the character misses a shot or somehow the enemies survive. I like to do it a few times just to make sure I don't miss anyone. Remember, this process will be repeated over and over because it's an AFK farm. So in the odd 1% chance that one of these guys survives, it could kill you and completely ruin the entire farm and you'll lose all your runes. So you just need to get it right once and it will be bliss. Now you want to wait a little moment just to make sure that everything is dead in every single run, and then open the map. Now flick the cursor to the side of grace by pressing D on your keyboard. If your map is too zoomed in or too zoomed out, fix it and then start the whole process again by ending the recording and restarting it. Next you want to click on it twice to fast travel and then wait. When your character spawns in, give it a few more seconds and then press Ctrl Shift Alt R to end the recording. Note, you can change these inputs in preferences if they're too long or too confusing for you. And now that you have a recording saved, you press Ctrl Shift Alt P to play back your recording and watch as your character farms the cliff for you. I do recommend fast traveling back to the side of grace, and just as you spawn in, play it then so it starts exactly from the beginning. And just make sure it's all clean, have as little inputs as possible, just make sure it's not complicated in the slightest. Now I do want to mention that each playback might be slightly different. This means one time your character might miss an enemy with an attack, it might walk really close to that ledge, sometimes it might be only slightly off, but that could completely ruin it. Now for example, if one of these enemies doesn't die, it could just mean that your character can't fast travel, which means you can't restart the whole process, but of course the macro will start over assuming you fast traveled, and your character could, go off and do whatever, and it could just ruin everything. So play it, see if it works. If it doesn't, try and record it again until you get the perfect one that counters all these issues. I'd be more than happy to help any of you out in my Discord if you need the help. Link below if you want to join. And that's essentially how you can AFK farm this exploit on PC. Now, if you don't have that Sacred Relic Sword, you can do the same process, but have your character lock onto the bird off the cliff and fire an arrow. Would be a little less reliable, but definitely safer and less risky as long as you don't walk off that cliff. Now, if you want to know how to get to this area, you need to complete that quest for Vera, who can be found at the Rose Church over here on the map, or alternatively, you can come here on the map in the Land of the Giants, where there is a portal that will take you right to that spot. If you haven't beaten the Vara quest and you are curious as to how to do that because you haven't unlocked the Land of Giants, for example, I'll leave a link down below. Click on that, it'll take you to a guide on how to complete that quest line. It's not very long, probably take you about 20 minutes. If you're on console, obviously you can just farm this manually, you don't need to AFK it. It is still the fastest rune farm with the most minimal effort. I know there's been a bunch of new uploads coming out recently of people saying, oh, this farm is the most efficient. It usually involves jumping somehow out of the map so that all the enemies in the area despawn, but I've tested a bunch and as far as I'm aware they are all still a bit slower than this farm on the cliff with the Sacred Relic Sword. They do come close though, so they are not useless, but again, usually requires more effort and the amount of runes you earn is always a little bit less. But that is everything you guys need to know to be able to AFK this farm on PC. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to comment down below or join the Discord. I'm more than willing to help. Now, this does work overnight or while you're out or while you're cleaning something, doing whatever the hell you want. While you're distracted, it will work. The only catch is you can't be on your PC while it runs because obviously it's controlling your inputs. Using this, you can rack up millions of runes in no time, plus it is fairly safe. Worst comes to worst and your macro isn't very good, you'll just start back where you were. You won't actually lose anything, and this farm doesn't come at the expense of other people, such as invaders. I hope this video helped. If it did, please leave a like down below. I hope to catch you guys in future videos. Subscribe if you want to be notified when they get posted, and please have a great day. Catch you later. Peace.